There it is. All right.
What's the plan here?
The plan is, you tell me. So I want you to do the introduction.
Which will be what? Specifically, what do you want me to say?
Just introduce us to the podcast.
What's it called?
Do you consider us friends? It's like such a simple name.
That's the name of the podcast.
Yeah, do you consider us friends?
Okay. All right. So we're going to get into it now.
Have you introduced us?
No.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Welcome to the very first, the inaugural episode of Do You Consider Us Friends? Hosted by the one and only, the Brazilian wonder, the eighth wonder of the world. When this man enters a room, the room goes silent. People are amazed at this man. If you have not met him, if you do not consider him a friend, as I do, this is my best friend, the one and only Lucas Abreu, hosting this podcast, and I am honored to be here, honored to be the first guest. Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. I've heard better, but it started, Eric, do you consider us friends?
Yeah.
You do?
Absolutely, yeah, I do.
Why is that?
Why do I consider us friends?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you better than I know most people, and I would say you know me better than most people know me. Would you agree?
Well, I would agree. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you consider us friends?
I think so, considering you're the first person on this podcast. I would hope so.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we are.
Yeah.
We're just now defining the relationship 8 years into it, I suppose.
I guess so. Yeah. I think we've been through enough to define ourselves as friends, which is good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, when we met, obviously it was through a mutual friend, and he kind of, I think, just put us together to kind of avoid having to spend time with either one of us. What was your first memory?
I've never
of
thought
us
of it that way.
what was your first memory of us together?
Oh man, I remember. Yeah, obviously I had seen you or met you at other points, but the first time we actually spent time together, I came to your dorm room and watched you play Madden for probably 3 or 4 hours, and then I left, and that was our first time together.
Yeah, that was a great time. That was fun. I remember I would whenever I gave a big play or whatever, I would just slam my fist against the desk. And I'm sure that you were shocked by that.
You were coping with some anger issues at the time. I'm sure as we all were.
I still am. I'm still working through it now. I remember that our drink, if they were ever to have a beverage between the both of us, it would be a pumpkin chai latte. The OG, the classic. That was the first drink that we had because of our friend. Have you had one since in the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years?
Honest to goodness, I have not had a pumpkin chai probably since freshman year in college.
Yeah.
Have you?
I think it's probably better that way. In my mind, it tastes so good that I don't want to ruin that.
Yeah. Specifically the ones on campus too.
Yeah.
Were probably a sentimental taste that you can't recreate.
Yeah. It feels like fall, freshman year, sitting on the cabs bus, listening to whatever music was playing at the time, sipping on a PCL, and yeah, those are the days. So fast forward, a couple years later, you graduated with, what degree was it?
It's human development and family science.
Okay, so how does that apply now to what you're doing?
I mean, it doesn't really apply at all. Currently, I own a lawn care business, which is what I do.
What?
I own a lawn care business.
Since when?
What do you mean? Since last year.
Oh my God! How did they not know about this? You just didn't tell me.
Yeah, I guess not. I've just been keeping that on the down low, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, the thing with HDFS, which is my degree, obviously I don't work with humans, and I don't like spend my time thinking about families. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the degree has just helped me in general, obviously, like as a social science, social skills sort of thing. And all of that has kind of led me to lawn care, which is probably sounds like nonsense on the surface level. But yeah, I mean, so it's completely random degree, completely random like occupation at this point in my life. But um, I mean, it's been helpful. It's been helpful. Helps me as a business owner potentially.
Okay. What's
Yeah.
been like the biggest struggle in doing lawn care, and starting up your own business? Has it been the excruciating work you do out on the lawns and caring for them? Or has it just been like even just trying to get your first client, your second, third, fourth, and building out that list?
Yeah.
What's that been like?
Yeah. I mean, the hardest part by far is just like the legal side of operating a business has been by far the hardest part. Like, yeah, the work is hard, you know, but I I've been in lawn care for several years, you know, prior to starting my own business. So yeah, it's hard work, but that's fine. That's honestly like the fun part of it. But owning a business is like a whole nother ball game that like I just have never even thought I would do. I never even like had a goal to like own a business. Like I know some people are like, yeah, I would really love to like start something up. You know, they're like self starters, so to say. I would not describe myself as a self starter. This is just like how the cards kind of fell for me, and I was like, man, I want to do lawn care, but in order for me to like make a sustainable like career out of this, I think I need to own the business. And so that's how I started it. And I don't have any business background, like never took a single business class in college. And there's a lot to learn. I think a lot more than people might realize on the surface of just like registering the business, you know, as an LLC, and then getting like a vendor's license, and then like figuring out sales tax, like getting business insurance, making sure I'm like covered if I like damage someone's property. And then yeah, the whole marketing side of things too is like I'm suddenly like going door to door and like passing out flyers. I'm creating all of these like different things and branding and logos, and you know, you even helped me on a lot of those things. Like my business logo, like you designed personally for me.
It's amazing.
Yeah, people love it. Yeah. So I don't know. That's been very challenging. Some days I wish I could just cut grass and not think about any of that stuff. But you know, it's part of it.
Yeah, and you've got your personal cell phone number on your hoodie. Have you gotten any calls yet from people in like the middle of the night just needing lawn care?
Middle of the night and complete random times, yes. Like it could have been helpful just to like have a different business number. But I guess I just didn't want to like pay for another line. So yeah, I mean my personal cell phone number that I've had since I was like 10 years old is the number that I'm now using for this business. And it's a little overwhelming at times. I mean, my business is still small, so it's not booming by any means, but I mean on a regular daily basis I get like, I don't know, a handful of just like random calls from people. Like some are like helpful leads, but some of them are just like complete nonsense. And I'm like, okay, now I'm like getting these random calls and texts and emails that are just kind of like distractions like throughout my day. So yeah, nothing like absurd yet, but I mean, people call me, you know, nights and weekends and, you know, holidays like Easter last weekend, getting like random phone calls, and it's just like very hard to separate work in life and like actually just like unplug from it from a little bit. So that's the challenge. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. While you're talking, that made me wonder, what's your favorite tool?
My favorite piece of equipment.
Yeah, your favorite tool. Yeah.
Okay. My favorite tool is surprisingly enough, they make these things that you can insert into like a yard waste bag,
Okay.
if you can envision that. And it holds the bag open so that you could fill it with leaves and sticks and stuff like that. And I tell you what, that thing might have cost $7, $8 when I bought it. It is the most valuable piece of my business because I started the business without that thing, and it was just like horrible trying to fill these bags with leaves, and they would fall over and they couldn't stay open, and it just caused me such a headache. It cost me so much time. And I got these little bag inserts at Home Depot for a few dollars, and it has changed the game. It has maximized my efficiency. And yeah, that's a little known fact. You could get those little yard. I don't even know what they're called. Just like bag holders, bag chutes at your local hardware store. And so I would highly recommend it to anyone looking to do lawn care, upkeep their yard.
Wow. Does it work for like normal trash bags, or is it too heavy duty?
For normal trash bags, I don't think it would work.
Okay.
I think it needs to be like those rigid paper bags.
Oh, gotcha.
That because it's made to fit in like a rectangular fashion.
Wow.
So maybe like a little paper, like Kroger bag or Ralph's bag, as you may refer to it out there on the West Coast.
Yeah. Although I feel like you wouldn't need one of those for a small carrying bag, but
yeah,
I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep it in mind. So of the guys who lived with the six, me, you, Daniel, Ferds, Kevin, I'm wondering now, who is which tool and why? You're not necessarily limited to just the tools and pieces of equipment that you own, but maybe that you would use or plan on using in your day to day. Who is what piece of equipment and why?
That is a challenging question. I would describe you as the leaf blower of the group.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong.
You're definitely the leaf blower. You're the loudest.
Wow. That is...
Can hear you from a block away. But you get things moving.
That's true.
Without you, we'd be like, oh, what should we do tonight? Should we do this? I don't know. And you're like, oh, what if we did this? What if we called these people? What if we went here? So you get things moving. Your voice is heard, and that's a great thing. Beautiful tool.
Wow. Well, I feel honored to be considered a leaf blower. Yeah.
Oh man, the other ones are gonna be interesting. I mean,
I feel like you have that lined up almost too quickly for me.
I was hoping you'd ask.
Yeah.
I would say Dan Burkett is a weeding tool.
Mm.
If you know what a weeding tool is, it's just kind of like a little stick that has some prongs on the bottom that digs out the roots of weed. Makes it a lot easier to get the roots out. It's a quiet tool, not very flashy, but loves to go deep. Loves to really get to the root of things. Yeah. Very, very helpful tool in the tool bucket for sure. When you're in a pinch, bring out that weeding tool. Yeah. It makes you slow down. Really slows you. Yeah, I hope Dan is not offended by any of those words. Let's see. Ferds would. Ferds is a good man. What other tools are there? Weed whackers. Yeah, I would say Ferds is a bit of a weed whacker.
Okay.
He stirs things up quite a bit. Tosses things around. Could be pretty violent at times, but really cleans things up. Really makes things beautiful in the household. You can tell when there's a lawn that has not been properly trimmed, and without Ferds in the house, that would have been us. Really keeps us in line. Yeah. And then Kevin obviously is just an absolute wild card of a man. So for him, I might just have to say that Kevin is Kevin's the lawnmower of the group.
Okay.
Yeah. He's sharp and witty, and
a little clunky.
Yeah. Sometimes hard to get him in and out of the back of the truck. Got to carry him up the stairs sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes it's pretty cumbersome, but if you catch him on the right day, nothing better than a good lawnmower in your repertoire. Yeah.
And what about yourself?
What about myself, man? I think I'm that the yard bag shoot.
Wow, you're the yard shoot.
It's a large. Come on. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm an inexpensive man, very simple, not flashy. Surprising, dare I say, even that it would have any. What am I trying to say about myself? Flies under the radar, but useful and unassuming and yeah, impactful. Yeah.
I love that you think you're
Would you agree
impactful.
with?
I would agree. I think that's great. I think that's great.
Okay. Okay.
So what is the six, and how did the six kind of come about? Because I know that. Well, yeah, that's the question.
Yeah. The six is the place that we lived at. Um, you and I specifically, it was our sophomore junior year. It started before us and continued after us, but it was not officially the six until that sophomore year, 2015, right? And we call it the six because the address is 1516. We just shortened it, the six.
Shout out
And
to
it was,
Drake.
yeah. Oddly enough, only five of us that lived there. But yeah, I mean, it was completely just like random how the group came together. I mean, yeah, we listed them off, but it was me, you, Dan Burkett, Zach Bedford, Kevin Harris. That was the original six. And so originally Kevin was living there first, actually, like way before we even came along. He was living there with these other group of guys, and we didn't even really know Kevin, but we knew one of the other guys that lived there. And we got along with this guy, and he was like, "Oh, we have some spots opening up. You guys should move in." And long story short, I mean, after winter break, he texted us and was like, "Actually, I'm just going to drop out of college or out of Ohio State at the time." And so he completely just like dipped, and so I was like, "Oh shoot, well, what are we going to do about this housing situation?" He's like, "Don't worry, I found another guy." And so that's how Zach Ledford Ferd came into the fold, was just like because this other guy dropped out. And so Kevin was there, me, you, Zach, and then Dan Burkett was in our small group at the time. So I think that's how just like all of us ended up coming together at the six. I mean, like you and I knew each other best, obviously going into it, and I think
Yeah.
the other people were kind of like, we were in the same community, so we knew each other, but we never really like spent time together until we all lived together, sort of deal.
Yeah, I remember I met Kevin beforehand at a Buffalo Wild Wings with Brett. Brett had invited us to go, and it was very much one of those things of like, hey, like, just who wants to tag along to meet this kid, who we don't know very well, and it happened to be me, and it was fine. The wings were fine. It was the Buffalo Wild Wings on Lane, but that was pretty much the only interaction I had with him going into it. I remember Ferd's at Fall Retreat. I was just like roaming around, and he saw me, didn't talk to me. He just saw me lost, chose not to help. And then I saw him at like a food truck one day on his bike. And then Daniel, from Bible study, carrying his little Bible, his pocket Bible that he's had for the last 12 years of his life.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
still carrying that thing. Yeah.
Still carries it. So I remember,
Yeah,
I think this was like freshman, maybe sophomore year. We were talking about you wanting children and how like potentially you wanted to name your
Where is
boy.
this going?
You wanted to name your boy Storm.
Yeah.
And then a year into knowing you or so, I pointed out that Storm Strubhar, your last name, sounded like Stormtrooper,
Yeah.
in which it dawned on you. You got dawned on that
Yeah.
it sounded like a Star Wars character's name. And at that
Right.
moment, you decided
Right.
against it. You decided against naming your child Storm. Have you changed
Yeah.
your mind on that since? And are you willing to commit? Are you willing to commit to naming your first child Storm for the first time here on this podcast?
I will absolutely not commit to that, and I have not changed my mind back. It's been ruined for me at this point. stormtroopers, I just can't do that to him. And I'm not even a Star Wars guy, so it makes no sense that I would even like utilize some sort of Star Wars pun in naming my child. So Storm is out the window, unfortunately. Dope name, but I just can't do it. I can't do it to him like that. Maybe Sledge. Just beat Courage to the punch.
Sledge?
Sledge, yeah, yeah.
Sledge Strubhar. Nice. Hey, you. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You're probably wondering, is this over? Not quite. No, not that lucky. And no, this also isn't an ad. I guess nobody wanted to sponsor a conversation between me and Eric. But hey, I get it. You know what matters? You're here, you're listening. Maybe you're driving on your way to work or from work, or just driving because you don't have work, or you're listening to this at a coffee shop or a library, hopefully with some headphones on, because if not, that's really inconsiderate. No matter where you're listening, hold on tight, because conversation, yeah, it gets exciting. We talk about the space race. We talk about living in a post-truth society. Hell, we even talk about ethical considerations of technological advancements and the relationship between science and public policy. What? Yeah, intense. I know. You won't want to miss it.
It was just like that when we went to that recording of that choir and the door was open and he's like, yeah, we lost all of that.
Oh, that was horrific, dude.
That was a wild story. Yeah.
Yeah, we met Christian Grey at Chipotle.
At Chipotle that day, yeah.
And I was like very hesitant because I didn't want to be like, oh, look, it's a black man. It must be the artist we've been listening to for the last few months.
Yeah,
but
which is like, no one knows this guy, especially at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, he was unknown. Nobody knew him. And I was like, oh man, is this him? And it was. We got pictures. And then he invited us out to his family/church's recording of a gospel album at his church. He invited us. It was very much a courtesy invite. And he did not think we'd show up. We did. And we brought our friend Jake.
Yeah, and Dan Berkey, right?
And Dan Berkey. I remember feeling so out of place. And at some point, I think someone collapsed and the doors on the side burst open. You know, medics come out with a stretcher, put this person on the stretcher, wheel them out into the ambulance, close the doors, and then the gospel director is like, yeah, we gotta do that song over again. The acoustics are all messed up.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, because the whole time this is going on, they didn't stop. They didn't stop singing.
They just kept singing. Which, like, if you anticipate that the acoustics are going to be off, I feel like you at that point just like stop it. If anything, aid in the assistance of like getting this person out of there, and then you continue on. You start over from the top instead of going through the entire song. But I remember we walked up to Christian afterwards. He's holding his child, and he was just like,
some child. We can't say if it was his or not.
It may have not been his. I hope it probably was his. If it wasn't his, then it was someone who trusted him. It belonged to them.
Right.
But he's holding this child. People are like trying to talk to him, but not because they see him as a celebrity, but because they see him as like the son of their pastor, like gospel choir director, whatever it is.
So when just another guy in the community.
And when he sees us, he like doesn't remember us, and then he does, and then he's probably just so confused. But it was cool. It was great. It was a fun experience. It was
great.
It was like, did we walk?
It
was on the other side of the highway.
We might have Ubered or something. It was in Linden. Yeah, it was way in Linden on the east side. Someone drove. Maybe Jake drove us.
I think so. Anyway, wild story. So on the subject of stories, Kelsey Kiesecker, who we both know very well, she wanted for us to talk about the Steak and Shake story. Which every time I tell someone the Steak and Shake story, it's met with a pall. In the moment, it made so much sense. But how do you remember that night, that Saturday night in Indiana?
infamous life-changing night. Yeah, man, this is probably the most popular story we've experienced together. If I must be as bold as to say that.
And we're absolutely
Um,
villains in it.
yeah, yeah, maybe rightfully so. We'll let the viewers be the judge of that for themselves. um,
Not sure they're viewing this
so here's
podcast,
the
but
thing.
we'll let the listeners decide.
Well, the listeners, absolutely, yeah. So we lived in Bloomington, Indiana for several years. Well, I guess Lucas and I overlapped there for 1 year. So we're new to Bloomington at this point in time. The local Steak and Shake, it's like, oh man, it's a Saturday night. It was very late, or at least like seemingly late, and we were starving. Hadn't eaten dinner. We had just come from like some sort of social engagement or whatever. And so we're starving. We bust in there. It's like, oh man, me, Lucas, Kelsey, and our other friend Courtney, four of us. We get a table. The place is nearly empty. And so we get seated at a booth that's back to back with another booth. The booth that we were back to back to had a variety of plates and dishes, kind of still sitting there. It looked like the table just like had not been bussed yet. Some food was eaten, some was not eaten. It was just a smattering of plates and milkshakes and dishes. And
Mind you, there were some plates that were empty and 3 empty milkshake glasses.
right, yeah, you're big on emphasizing that detail, the milkshake glasses, which is lost on me in my memory for some reason.
But I remember thinking to myself, oh man, the milkshakes, which are often when you finish last during a meal when you go to Steak and
True.
Shake.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like,
I
okay,
now see the significance of that detail.
yeah, of course.
So they
It's the
finished.
final thing
They
you
finished
do.
their dessert, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you like get the sip where you go, and then you're done,
Yeah.
and then like you leave after you pay. I think at the
Yeah.
front, you don't even pay at your table. And
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
because it's up to this point, the server has been nice. The server has brought us water. She's trying her best. There's like 3 or 4 tables there that she's waiting on. But yeah, as we were saying.
Yeah. No, that's a good detail because I didn't realize the significance of that. Yeah. So this table's empty. The milkshakes are finished, right? Surely they're gone. And I had this thought occur to me of like, oh man, I've felt this several times in a restaurant where there's just like food that's been left on the table before the employees like bus it. And some of it is just like really good food. And it's like, man, I would genuinely eat that if it were socially acceptable for me to. Like, if some of it's untouched. And so I had that thought in the Steak and Shake, back to back with this table, with food still on the plate. And so I decided to share it with the group. And I was like, have you guys ever felt this? Because I feel it all the time where I'm starving and it's like, let me just grab that sandwich and I'll finish it. And I don't know if other people agreed with the thought, but they at least accepted it. Like, okay, I see where you're coming from. Like, I won't judge you if you decide to do that in this moment. And so I felt like I had the green light. Would you agree?
Would I agree? I think that in the moment, again, because like at this point it had been 15, 20 minutes since we've been sitting there. We have only gotten our waters. I don't think she's even taken our food orders yet.
Yeah.
And when it's been 20 minutes, it's like, okay, well, the table is still empty. Like,
yeah,
I think in the moment, I remember not wanting the grilled cheese, but if I recall it correctly, each of us picked at the French fries a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah. So let me revisit it. So I get the green light, right? And in this moment, it's like, okay, cool. Table's empty. It's been empty for a minute. I reach back, boom, pull a plate over to us. Has a perfectly untouched half of a grilled cheese and a good handful of fries. And at which point, everyone's like suddenly down. They're like picking on the fries. We're all going at the fries together. None of us have touched the grilled cheese, but in that moment, we are sharing these fries, and I look up across the restaurant, and I see the restroom door open, and I see these two little girls emerge, and I see a father holding their hands, walking them back, and I just knew, and I had this feeling where I was praying, like, do not let this be the people that are sitting right behind us, and it was. They walk right past, they take a seat. We're now back to back with this table of two little girls and a father that are clearly out on a Saturday night enjoying themselves, and we just have one of their plates of food on our table. 4 early 20-year-olds. We're just eating this little girl's plate right before.
We're just 4 adults
And
eating the food off the plate of a child.
Yeah.
Who then does not stay quiet about it.
Well, right. And I think the 4 of us were kind of shocked for a second because we realized what had happened. We were silent. And then you and I turn around because we were on the side that was backed up to them. We turn around and we address Father, and we are like, we are so sorry. Let us explain ourselves. And he immediately is like, it's okay. He seems defeated. He's clearly had a long day of parenting. He's been in the restroom with these 2 little girls for countless minutes. I mean, it was not an easy time. We're like, please, sir, we thought you were gone. Like, let us give you the food back, or let us pay for it, or let us order you a new one. And he's like, no. It's okay. And we're like, no, seriously, we feel horrible. And he's like, guys, no, it's fine. And so that's it. We're like, okay, what else can we do? We turn around. But yeah, at this point, we hear the little girls like clearly confused. I mean, maybe they were like 2 or 3 years old. I don't know, very small. And they're like, Daddy, like, I'm so hungry. They're like, why do they have my food? They're just so confused. Rightfully so. And at this point, we still have the full slice of grilled cheese in front of us. We still have a few of the fries, but we can't keep eating it. So the experience is ruined for us as well. And it was like, well, yeah, we're not going to eat this food anymore all of a sudden. And so we're just kind of silent, to be honest. Like, none of us are saying anything. It's like, what do we say? You know, we can't just like go back to making small talk. So we're just sitting there, just waiting. At this point, it's clear our waitress is nowhere to be found. She has just not returned. All we have are water on our table. And I think in this moment, we kind of realize that there's a table to our right that's full of people, right? And they're kind of like talking under their breath. They're kind of like scoffing at us, like, oh, I can't believe these people just took that plate straight off of that table. Who does that? And we're just sitting here like, we can hear it all. Like, they're whispering, but we hear what they're saying.
It echoes through the empty Steak and Shake.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is the father and the 2 daughters, they remained at the table right behind us for at least 10 minutes. They sat there and continued to eat their meal.
It was the longest 10 minutes.
It was agonizing. Yeah, it was the longest 10 minutes of my life. And eventually they got up and left. And I don't think the 4 of us said a word during those 10 minutes. They finally left. So, you know, maybe Kelsey was trying to make conversation, kind of make light of it again. But at this point, it's like, all right, we've been here at least 30, 40, 50 minutes, like a while. We have been at this Steak and Shake a while, and our order has not been taken. Maybe in a normal situation, we would have like got up and tried to find our waiter, or just been like, hey, what's going on? But all of us kind of felt guilty. We kind of felt awkward. We're kind of just like waiting it out. You know, there's other tables over there talking trash about us now.
Constantly, which bugged me probably the most, more than the waiter not serving us, because if you're a bystanding table, the moment you see someone take another table's food and you know that that table is still
Yeah.
there, they just happen to be in the bathroom,
Right.
and you don't intervene, I feel like you lose any right to say anything about us or
Yeah. Yeah, they're
critique us.
complicit.
They're entirely
Right.
complicit.
Yeah, that's the
They
thing.
wanted to see what would
Hmm.
happen.
Like, right. Yeah, because that table was there when we came into the restaurant, so they knew that the dad was there with the two little girls that got up and went to the restroom. They saw us come in. They saw us like talking about it, reaching back, taking the plate, knowing that we thought the table was empty. And the whole time they did not say a word. They just watched it unfold. And then they start talking trash about us. And so our waitress eventually is like seen, she's like taking other orders, people that had come in after us. She had like taken their orders, they had received their food. They were already like eating and leaving, and we had not even had our orders taken at this point.
Yeah,
And so I think we
there was a
realized
table.
something is like clearly off.
Yeah, there was a table of 3 or 4 people, like college age students who came in,
Mm,
ordered, got their food, then left, and we were just
yeah,
like, "What is happening?" At this point, it's
yeah,
been an
yeah,
hour, an actual hour since
yeah. At least,
I remember at some point after where I was like, "All right, I'm gonna start keeping track of how long it is until we're served again," and it had been a full
yeah,
hour.
right, yeah. And this entire hour, like after the initial confrontation, I had not spoken a single word. I was completely demoralized and just shut down. And it was genuinely probably the worst I have felt in my life was that hour of like sitting there, the entirety of it being back to back with the father, the other table talking trash, our orders not being taken. We're still starving, by the way. Mind you, at this point it's maybe 9, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
We have not eaten dinner. We're starving.
And we have to be at church the next
Man.
morning, like 7:30 or 8
Right.
AM. So it's like the longer we stay out, the less sleep we get. And
Yeah.
I just remember seeing this plate of food and being like, wow, we just can't touch this. Kelsey, though, did, try to keep spirits high. She did try to keep like
Right.
conversation going, but it was for her, I'm sure it was like screaming at a wall. We just weren't having it.
Yeah. Eventually, I think it was Kelsey that eventually like got up and tracked down our waitress and was like, "Hey, we just want to know like why we haven't been served." And the waitress was kind of acting dumb. She was like, "Really? Like you haven't been served?" And it was like, "Yeah, you never like came back and took our orders. We've been waiting here for over an hour." And the manager at this point overheard us asking the waitress like why she hasn't served us, and he stepped in and was like, "Wait, you guys haven't been served?" And we're like, "No, we haven't been served. Like we can explain what we think is the reason." And he was like, "Wait, if you guys haven't been served, like let us get you some food right now. Like it's completely free. It's on us." And we're like, "Well, we don't deserve that." And he was like, "No. Like please let us make it right." And we're like, "Let us just explain the situation." So I think Kelsey just explained from our point of view like what had actually happened
Yeah.
and why she thinks we have been like denied service. And the manager, like, luckily he was like, "Hey, well, honestly, like, we should have still served you. That's not right. Like, let us give you free food." And at this point, we had just decided, like, no, we're just gonna leave. Actually, we just wanted you guys to know, like, we're leaving. Like, don't worry about serving us. And so we go to leave, and he's like, "Well, come back anytime. Like, anytime. Food's on me. Like, say that Mark like
Whatever his name
gave me
was. Yeah.
free food, whatever his name is." Yeah. And so we leave. We decide to leave, still with no food in our stomachs aside from the
And let the
few
record
French
show,
fries.
let the
Uh,
record show, I was, I was
yeah.
willing to accept their free food.
You were absolutely willing, and you're like, "Well, if nothing else, let's come back for a free
Well,
meal."
let's get it. Let's get it to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I
Also,
think that was the last time I ever stepped foot in that Steak and Shake.
yeah. Oh, it also closed down very soon after
Mm-hmm.
because the Dunkin' Donuts
Right,
was
right,
built
right.
there. Not much longer after, but I remember even the manager saying though, "Oh my gosh, like from that table, like I also thought they were gone." Like he was so
Yeah,
empathetic
yeah,
to
yeah.
us. He was like, and again,
Right.
very undeserved, but he was just like, "Oh my gosh, I totally understand, like, they had been gone forever and,
He
like,
did, yeah.
all this stuff." And so, like, I think that's why he also so quickly put himself in our shoes and was like,
Yeah.
"What they did wasn't wrong. It happens all the time here at Steak and Shake."
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot that. He empathized. The manager of Steak and Shake empathized with us. He was like, "Oh man, I get it. Like, you guys should be served food," which was great. I mean, in retrospect, to at least be validated in that.
Yeah.
So I think we just left and was like, "Yeah, let's just go to Wendy's."
Yeah.
And I think we just hit the drive-through and called it a night at that point.
Yeah. Do you think the dad still tells that story?
I hope so. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if I hope so. I think he. Yeah, there's no way he forgot that happened. Like
He
you just don't
must.
forget that.
He must.
Yeah,
He must tell friends, "Yeah, Saturday night, out with my daughters," or at least hopefully his daughters, and he's just trying to be a good dad, and he goes to the bathroom. Obviously, it's the most unfortunate of situations where normally one person stays
yeah,
back at the table, and in this
yeah,
situation, nobody stays back because it's a man with his 2 young children. So he arrives and just absolutely flabbergasted to see his food being eaten on by who again, he probably presumes are some college students. We never went to college there. We were just
yeah,
passerbyers, and we were just adults eating a grilled
yeah,
cheese off a kids menu, um, that we didn't order. And so, yeah, I again, I don't hope that he tells the story, but there's no way he doesn't. Poor
yeah. You
guy.
don't forget that kind of thing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel
I
like it's
know
gonna
I
be
never
a
will.
deep it's gonna be a deeply ingrained memory for the girl.
Yeah.
"Daddy, I'm so hungry. Why do they have my food?"
And he
So,
was like shushing her. He was like, "Shh."
yeah, he did not like, I felt so bad because he was just so quiet. He was like, "No, it's okay, like, don't worry." They probably got Wendy's on the way home.
Yeah, we both did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
We,
Oh man.
so on the subject of french fries and potatoes, Hope was wondering, what is your favorite form of potato?
Wow. Oh man. If I know Hope, I know she loves that question.
She does.
My favorite form is probably French fried.
Wow. Fried the French way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite
Yeah. Yeah.
french
Yeah.
fry
Yeah. The way the
place?
French do it. Oh man. Recently, I've been loving going to Loops, which I know Lucas is not a fan of at all. But
I'm not
Loops
not a fan,
here
it's
in
just not my
Columbus has
go-to choice.
incredible fries.
They do have good fries.
So much so that you refused to go when you were here last in Columbus. When someone suggested going to Loops, you're like, I can't. No, I can't
It was
go.
such a quick
I
trip.
love it. And their French fries are. So what does that mean?
I just have other priorities when I go to Columbus for, like, a weekend.
Right.
For 3 weeks is one thing, for 3 days
Even
is
though,
different.
even though you said I will go to Ty's all 3 of these days if you want to go.
Exactly, my priorities were set straight. There's so many different
Yeah,
variety of things you
yeah.
can get at
That's
Ties.
fair. That's
Yeah,
fair. Yeah, you'd never go
yeah.
tired for sure.
What is I'm not even gonna ask what's the most embarrassing story. Um, I just wanna know, how did you feel when you approached Ezekiel Elliott outside of Hale Hall, dapped them up,
How did I feel?
and then
No,
just
I didn't
left?
dap him up.
You didn't dap him
I
up?
didn't dap him up at all. I dapped a stranger up. Yeah, the thing. This was the summer after our freshman year in Columbus. We're walking around on campus. It's a beautiful night. Me, Lucas, a group of us. We're just walking around. Time to kill. And we approach um, What did you say? It was Hale Hall? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Some building. Um, we're walking by and we look over and I'm just like, oh no, that's Ezekiel Elliott. And like at this point in time, like this was after his freshman year too. He had a huge freshman year, national championship year, like Heisman talk. Dude was big. He was everywhere. And I was like, this is Ezekiel Elliott just like chilling here. Like, and there's no one else around. I was like, oh man, like we've got to go say something to him, right? And at this point, we had already passed. Like we had walked past the building, and we've decided like, oh, we got to go talk to him. So Lucas and I turn around, and we then are walking back, and he's at the top of this staircase, this like long staircase up there with two other dudes just chilling, chatting. And so we make this long ascent up the staircase, and I look up and I lock him in the eyes, and he knows that we're coming, that we're fans, that we're gonna like try to talk to him, try to get a picture with him. And so he beelines it. He takes off and he like hides behind this construction fence. And of course it's like, well, he clearly doesn't want to be approached. We're not gonna just like track him down. But at this point, we're halfway up the staircase. We're not just gonna like turn around and then like embarrass ourselves. So we continue all the way up the stairs, and I dap up this random dude that he was talking to, like presumably was also an athlete, but I don't know. It could just be a random student. So I dap him up. I'm like, "What's up, man? Nice to meet you. I just wanted to introduce myself." And then it was just silent. He didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't even introduce myself. And I was like, all right, man. Nice to meet you. See you later. Turned around and left. I don't even know that guy's name. He doesn't know my name. Just literally just walked up the stairs, dapped him up, and left.
Oh man, that was
Do you think he
crazy.
still thinks about that?
Yeah, for
Does he
sure.
still tell
Yeah,
that story? Is the other question.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
But you
Um,
actually ended up meeting Zeke that same summer.
yeah, I don't know if it was before or after, but it was at Target,
Yeah.
and I was
Which
like, "Hey, man."
I decided not to go with you.
Yeah, I think it was me and Dell, and we ended up going,
Yeah.
and you just didn't come with.
And I was like, no, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it must have been after because I think your regret in that moment
Right.
was just like, "Oh my
Right.
gosh, I
Right.
could have
Right.
actually met him." In which case, he probably would have recognized you because it wasn't that long after.
Yeah.
So he probably been like, "Oh, this
Yeah.
guy
The same
again?
summer. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?" But that's a good target. That's a good target right by campus.
Yeah. It is a great site. The busiest in the country is what they like to say. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, probably though. I mean, well, now there's a Target on High Street.
Then, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it can't be at this point. But.
Yeah. I see you've been drinking on a beverage.
I am.
Daniel was wondering,
Oh,
is there a beverage that has had a huge impact on you in this season of life that you've been in?
wow. In this specific season.
And if you want to kind of introduce what the
Um.
beverage is, feel free to do so as well.
Yeah. Are you insulting our listeners and their intelligence level?
No, I just feel like a beverage, what a hot bev and a cold bev means to you may be different to what it means to the average listener.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just a big fan of beverages in general. And like, even the word beverage, it's my favorite word. I don't know. I enjoy everything about it. And, being a barista of, I don't know, at this point, maybe like 4 years off and on. It's just, yeah, nothing's better than a good beverage just to sit and sip on. I will tell you my all-time favorite beverage is an iced blackberry vanilla latte. And I
That's how,
first had this at this place in Washington D.C. Little cafe called Ebenezer's is when I was put onto it, and ever since then I've been chasing that high, man. I've been trying to find blackberry. Blackberry is such a rare flavor. No no coffee shops sell it, at least regularly. I found, I think, one in Bloomington at one point that was selling it, and very rarely you find it around Columbus. But blackberry vanilla is, yeah, ultimate. And when I was a barista at the poorhouse, they before it shut down, RIP, they were going to name a blackberry vanilla latte after me. They were going to call it the Strubhar latte. And
What?
had COVID not hit, I would have had the Strubhar latte name in my honor. But alas,
Wow.
it did not come to be. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That reminds me of the Ben Higgins story. I remember being in
Yeah.
bed one day and I get a text from you and you say, Ben Higgins is here. And I had never gotten up out of bed and like changed so quickly in my life. I, for anyone who doesn't know who
That's
Ben
saying
Higgins
something.
is, yeah, for anyone who doesn't know who Ben Higgins is, he was a contestant on The Bachelorette, and then became, of course, The Bachelor. Um, I forget what
He was
season.
an IU grad.
He was an IU grad, and he, after eventually talking to him, he was there to help inaugurate this like sandwich shop that his buddy was opening, and he had, you know, his Ben Higgins sandwich or whatever. And
Wow.
but yeah,
I
we
didn't know
were
that.
talking at the poorhouse, and before we were even talking, he's sitting in the corner, headphones in, on his laptop. I sit not beside him, but like a seat over in a completely empty poorhouse cafe. This is like at 8:30 in the morning. It's empty.
Right.
And he and I are just sitting there chilling. At one point, he like leans over to me. He's like, "Hey, like, do you have an iPhone charger?" I'm like, "Oh man!" Like, and I always keep it in my backpack, but I didn't have it on me, and so I'm like, "Oh, I don't, but I have it in my car. I can go get it." And he was like, "No, it's okay. Like, I don't know why you're so excited to give me a charger." So I'm chilling there, and then at one point, I think Becca comes through to work and, you know, do homework or do whatever, and she ends up having a charger for Ben. We're hanging out. Ben's like starting to pack his stuff away, and I'm like, I have to take this opportunity to talk to him. So I do, super nice. I'm like, hey man, just want to say huge fan. Which, if you think about it, to be a fan of someone on The Bachelor or Bachelorette is like very weird. Like, they're not a
Yeah.
contestant on a show. They're just like a person trying to find love, and like
Right.
you,
Yeah.
you can like someone as a person who's on the show and like find them relatable or whatever, but to be a fan of someone, I retrospectively looking, I'm like,
Yeah.
yes,
Right. Right.
there's no other
Oh
word
man,
to
I
have
was really rooting
used.
for you to find love.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm happy that you're with someone now. Um, I don't know if he still is or not. Hopefully, but we were
Mm.
talking, and at this point, I remember I was already planning on coming out to LA. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, like, hit me up, like, here's my email," which it wasn't the email that was on his Twitter, so it was like a personal email. Hit him up. He responded at some point, but we never ended
Mm.
up getting coffee here in LA.
Dang, dude.
Yeah, I gotta hit him up again. I gotta see if Ben Higgins is
Yeah.
available to grab that coffee. But he was nice, but he was super nice. I also remember seeing, Jesse Eisenberg there.
Yeah.
He
Yeah. He's a regular there.
Yeah, he was not nice. He was just was wearing a hat in the corner, reading a book to himself, not wanting to be bothered. He was literally the human
Right.
epitome of what do not disturb mode is. And
Yeah.
I was petrified of approaching him. And so I didn't. I just
Mm.
stared. I just stared from a
Yeah. I'm glad you
distance.
didn't.
Yeah. That he probably would have asked a manager to like get me kicked out of the club or something.
And then I would have just been like, actually, nah,
He's my friend. I told him
that's
you were
my good
here.
buddy. Yeah.
I love that you confirmed both of them though with their credit cards. You saw the card names and you
Oh
were
yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
"Hey Lucas, they are here."
Well, the thing with the Ben Higgins thing is, yeah, it was very early. Like, it just opened up on a random like Tuesday or Wednesday. Um, so it was me and then two of my female coworkers were in there, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna run out the trash real quick." So I hop out the back door for not even 5 minutes, take out the trash, and I come back in, and the girls are just like buzzing. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe he's here!" Like everyone that was in there was suddenly like, you could just the atmosphere had changed, which is weird to say, but it was very much like a celebrity is in our presence, you know. And they were like, "You won't believe this! Like Ben Higgins is here," and I was like, "What?" Like I didn't believe it. I was like, I literally just ran outside for less than 5 minutes. Like, no, a celebrity did not come in here. And they're like, "No, no, he's still here. He's sitting around the corner." I was like, "What?" And I missed it. I was like, I got to go up and talk to this guy. And before I even went up there, he like came back up to the counter and was like asking us about like coffee tips, because I guess he had just opened his own like cafe in Denver. So we started like chatting about that, and I was like, "Yeah, this is Ben Higgins," and yeah, like pulled up his order on the computer, and it like, yeah, I mean, it had his credit card information and stuff, which like, yeah, I'm sure, yeah, it was secure. I wasn't gonna like steal his credit card, but yeah, it was Ben J Higgins. I don't know if that was his middle name, but and so eventually, yeah, I just went up to him and chatted with him and was like, "Hey, can we take some pictures for like the store Instagram?" Super nice dude. But yeah, so I texted you at one point. And I was like, "Hey, like Ben Higgins is here. Like, please, like, don't come make a big deal out of it. But just like it, you know, if you pass by." And so you come in, you come busting in like not even 10 minutes later, which like our apartment was like a 5 minute drive, and somehow you're here immediately. And I was like, "Yeah, he's right around the corner, but like don't go up and talk to him." And you literally just make a beeline, and you sit like you just said, you sit 2 chairs down from him. And he was there for a while. I mean, you guys sat side by side for like a few hours at least, without even saying a word to the man. So yeah, it was wild. But yeah, great dude. He was a really great dude. As he was leaving, he even just like stopped back up front and was just like, "Man, it was really great to meet you guys." Like, I don't know. I don't even know what he said, but I remember him being just a super genuine, nice dude. So yeah, just a random like Bloomington encounter. But yeah, it was good.
Do you live in Columbus or Central Ohio? Do you have a commercial or, I don't know, residential lawn that you're responsible for? Well, hold on a minute. Just you wait. I have the man for you. Yes, Eric, the very guy on this podcast. You've heard him. You know him. You can trust him. Yeah, you can trust him. I mean, he hates waste. Hence why he took the fries in the first place. Am I right? He mows, he mulches, he cleans up. Yeah, he'll even trim your shrubs. And trust me, I've seen him trim his beard. It's a work of art. And between you and me, if you ask nicely, he'll even do a little grass dance. I've seen it. He's got great moves. Visit LegacyLawnCareOhio.com or email him at LegacyLawnCareOhio@gmail.com for your lawn care needs. That's LegacyLawnCareOhio.com or LegacyLawnCareOhio@gmail.com. What is a dangle?
Oh man, a dangle. There's this beautiful spot on campus at Ohio State that just like a little brick ledge. I don't know if I want to disclose the location as to give away its I don't know, fondness to me personally, but yeah, there's a nice little brick ledge where if you happen to have a beverage, I mean, it's even better, but you just take it, sit out there on a beautiful day. You specifically have to let your legs dangle because it's a little too tall to sit with your legs firmly secure on the ground. So yeah, you just let loose, and it's a beautiful view, and it's a good spot where freshman year specifically, I mean, we would hang out there and just like, I don't know, between classes or whatever, we'd grab some frozen TBCs and yeah, just sit out there and chat, and yeah, I don't know, it's a beautiful spot to relax and to hang out and to contemplate life, and yeah, that's the dangle spot.
That's good. Colin has a very important question.
So,
Colin was wondering how to make overnight oats.
Oh, I mean, at this point in time, I'm pretty rusty myself. I know you have a legendary video somewhere of you attempting to make it, but the key is the oats to milk ratio. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, you got to get the ratio right, or the oats just will not be. Well, there just won't be overnight oats. So if you get that ratio right, then you put it in the fridge. You let it camp out overnight, pull it out, boom, it's good to go. I mean, that's the beauty to it, right? But yeah, if it's too much milk, then it's just cereal. Not that it's just like soggy soup at that point.
So Paige LeClaire, formerly known as Paige Hamrick, had a question for you as well.
Mm.
Where were you on January 6th?
Okay. 2022?
2021.
2021, of course. I was at my mom's house on January 6th, 2021. I had just gotten LASIK surgery, actually. And so I was not safe to leave the house. And yeah, I remember I remember the TV being on and kind of barely being able to see. It was like, is this a dream? But yeah, no, I was stuck at my mom's house for far too long. It was like several weeks at that point, just sleeping on the couch, not doing anything because I couldn't leave the house. But yeah, that's where I was. That was a great question.
Yeah. I forgot you got LASIK, especially at that point in time. What were your thoughts going into it, and how was your experience with that?
Oh man, yeah. Well, I got LASIK based off of your recommendation, actually, because you had gotten it just like all of a sudden, and you're like, yeah. I mean, I just went and I did it, and I think you did it like during the height of COVID somehow.
Yeah, it was April 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like we still didn't really know anything about COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember not the day of my operation, but the day after that they needed you to like come in for like a checkup or whatever. And I remember driving myself wearing these like goggles so like I couldn't see because
Yeah.
like my eyes were still dilated or whatever, or they dilated it when I was there. I don't know, but I was like, I probably should not be driving.
Yeah, that's wild that they had you drive.
Yeah,
That's
I was
so.
on like two
I
pretty busy
honestly,
highways.
yeah, I did not trust myself to drive for. I think it was like 4 or 5 days where I was like, I am not safe to drive. But yeah. So I mean, yeah, you got it done, and I was like, oh man, like I had never known anyone that had LASIK at that point. So I was like, I guess it's safe, and I guess it's like a good thing to do. So I started looking into it, and just yeah, decided to do it. I don't know. It was like the very first of the year, 2021. And so I go in there, and you're like completely awake during the procedure, right? Like, yeah, they don't do anything to you. You just sit down on the table, and they like pry your eyes open, like hold them back with some contraption, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna start."
And the
Operating,
contraption's
right?
pretty similar to the bag chute that you use for lawn care.
Is it?
No, I'm just playing. Go on.
No, I mean, I can see the comparison there. It definitely holds it open, holds it in place. Yeah, it's a good one. Um, but yeah, so they just start like they bring this laser over your eyes, and I remember the doctor or the surgeon, whatever her title would be, saying like, all right, you're gonna like temporarily like lose vision. I was like, all right, and then suddenly it's almost as if you just like go blind because your eyes are held open, you're awake, but you just like suddenly go dark. And I remember this feeling. If anyone has seen the movie Get Out, which is a phenomenal movie, it's one of my favorites. There's something that they describe as the sunken place in Get Out, and that is how I would describe LASIK surgery. Was I was in the sunken place. Not that it was like scary, but I just felt like I was viewing the surgery happening from some like distant perspective. Like my eyes are open and I'm just like looking out them at this lady that's like above me, and like my vision is going in and out. I could see like certain things moving around and this and that, but I felt like I was just like watching it from this little screen so far away. Um, but it only lasted a few minutes, and she was like, "All right, you're done." And so I just popped up off the table, and I was like, "Oh, I'm like, am I good to go?" He's like, "Yep, you're good to go." And I literally just walked right out, walked out to the car, and I could see better. Not perfect, but I was like, "This is wild." It's like a healing in the New Testament of sorts. I was like, "Oh man, I was blind and now I can see."
Amen. It
Yeah.
is wild how it is like considered, or at least I was told this, maybe to be comforted or maybe to be told the truth. I don't know. But I was told that it's, medically speaking, the safest procedure anyone can do in like present
Really?
day science and medicine, technology, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's the safest
Wow.
procedure. Um, and yet when you are lying on this table and the doctor or surgeon is saying, no, 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 keep looking straight, there's no doubt in my mind that something has gone terribly wrong. Um, I've never felt more vulnerable. And there's a clip of it somewhere. I have a USB where I have the clip of
Yeah.
the video, and I haven't watched it yet. And I don't know if I
Still
necessarily
haven't
want
watched
to.
it. 3 years later.
But yeah, wow, I guess it has been 3 years. Yeah, sometimes this happened more beforehand, but like I'll still like push my imaginary glasses up on my face. Um,
Right.
do you do anything like that still, where it's like you expect to have glasses somewhere or on your face or
Mhm.
a part of some kind of routine, but they're not there? That you don't need them, so they're not there.
Yeah. Less so with the glasses, but I used to wear contacts like all the time beforehand. And whenever I would like go to sleep, I would take my contacts out, and I was pretty strict with that. So even if I wanted to take a nap, I usually like would take them out before the nap. It was just a huge hassle, but less so now that a lot of time's passed. But at first, it took me a while to like let myself like take naps or go to sleep without feeling like I still felt the burden of like, oh man, I have to go take my contacts out. But it was this like freeing realization of like, oh no, I don't actually.
Yeah,
I'd say that would be the closest equivalent that I would have.
nice. What's your go-to spot to eat?
Oh man, my go-to like actual treat of a meal would be Thai, right? Thai's Asian Bistro. Um, you just can't beat it. You can't beat the size of the portions. You can't beat. You could beat the price. You could beat the price.
Nowadays, you
At
couldn't, you
one
used to
point
not
in
be able
time,
to.
exactly. At one point in time, you could not beat the price, but now it could be beaten. But they have me hooked. And I think it's justified. I mean, it's phenomenal food, phenomenal portions. Recently, I've been trying to save a little bit of money, so less frequent ties. But if I'm letting myself splurge, that's the go-to spot.
And by recently trying to save money, you mean the last like 8 years?
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ever since I left my mom's house, I've been trying to save some money. So
Yeah. What's like the biggest thing you've spent money on, that you've splurged on, that you regret and that you don't regret?
oh man, the biggest purchase I've ever made was a couple months ago. I mean, I've been making a lot of purchases trying to get my business started, but I bought a used truck, and I mean, I paid for it in cash, like up front. And so, it wasn't anything crazy, but it was, I like signed a check for more than 10 grand. And that's just like a scary thing to do. Like a purchase like that is like, it kind of hurts a little bit. It's like, oh man, that is a lot of money. And, for some people that might not be a lot of money. For some people it is. That was like, yeah, that was the biggest purchase, man. But I don't regret that one. I think that one was good. I think I could look back and be like, yeah, that was fun. but I did buy a mower in the past couple months that I regretted pretty quickly after. It was like $3,000, and I got that thing home, and I was just like, man, $3,000 for a push mower is a lot of money, and I ended up taking it back. Yeah, I mean, I traded it for another mower, but a less expensive one. So dude, those have been some of my biggest purchases ever. I think it's literally just lawn care equipment. So well, maybe that says something about my life. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing
What
about your
about you?
life. Oh, what about me? Oh man, I don't even know.
Yeah. What are you spending money on these days?
Um, Recently, I can't say it was like the biggest purchase, I guess. 'Cause I think LASIK was like up there, right? Like I,
Right. Right. Right.
had a little money saved up, but like it wasn't nearly as expensive as I thought it would be. I think it was like
Yeah.
2,800 total, but probably like most splurgy, spontaneous purchase recently was going to the Lakers game and watching LeBron break
Yeah.
the record. Just because,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I've paid probably more money to go to less meaningful games, but in the moment, it was just like, oh my gosh, like, I asked off of work while I was there. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
can I leave for a basketball game? And I know how that sounds, but LeBron's might break this record, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was already going to be out of town on that Thursday, so not only could I not go to the next game, but I wasn't going to be working either. So my boss was like, I, yeah, I guess, like, you want to go for the game? And I was like, I would like to, if that's possible.
I would like to.
And, he was very supportive, was very kind about it, let me go, and thankfully, LeBron broke the record.
Mm.
But, like, it was one of those things where I just didn't really care. I was like, "Okay, let me just pay for this parking beforehand," and
It was a wise purchase.
yeah. But,
Yeah.
but that was great. So speaking of your life, you were best dressed in high school. What
Right.
styling tips do you have for someone who wants to improve the way they look, but don't know where to start?
Mm. Good point. Yeah. I will say, yeah, I was voted best dressed in high school. I don't know if I would currently win that award. I think I don't know, maybe it's I've gotten lazy, maybe it's I've been too frugal. I don't spend a lot of money on clothes anymore, or a lot of time or effort into it. But my advice to anyone that wants to improve their style is keep it very minimal. I think minimalistic styles are like timeless, and by that I mean like any like clothing items that aren't like heavily branded or don't have like a lot of colors or patterns. Or basically, I like to stick to just like plain colored t-shirts or jackets or yeah, I mean pants. Like I don't like things that have like a whole lot of different things going on, whether it's like jackets or yeah, like zippers on jackets or a ton of different pockets or just these kind of like off the wall sort of things. Like not to say that those things don't look cool because they do, but I think it's a lot if you have a lot of just like solid colored clothes, whether it's like t-shirts or hoodies, pants, you can mix and match those things like super easily. And you'd be surprised like how far like a plain colored t-shirt can go with like different outfits. So that's where I would start is just like, yeah, buy a handful of like solidly colored items and kind of just like, yeah, mix and match tops and bottoms, just like that.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is a question you just are dying to ask the next guest?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's tough to know what to ask the next guest, being that I don't know the next guest. I don't know who they will be. But I would love just to generally ask, what is your fondest memory with Lucas?
That's adorable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Couldn't be
I'm sure
good.
I'll get a great answer there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. So, why don't you close us out, Eric?
Yeah, man. Okay, well, it's been a pleasure. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thanks for allowing me to relive some of these stories with you. And I will say to the viewers too, I mean, we haven't even skimmed the surface of some of these stories. I was told to keep poop stories off the records as well, which yeah, I mean, man, we could have got into it for sure. But yeah, maybe there will be a part two to this. If I ever get invited back, we'll see.
On the scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your experience on this podcast?
Oh man, yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. Technical difficulties here and there. You know how it is, but no, it's been great. It's been fun to do this. It's been an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of
All
10.
around good.
What can I do to improve for next time?
For next time, man, have a more interesting guest on would be the first. That would boost the ratings for sure. Other than that, man, it's been a fun podcast. I think you got it nailed down pretty well.
Wow, well, it means a lot coming from you since you've been on so many podcasts. So I appreciate it. You were a wonderful first guest. Thank you so much for being on.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Bye.
Do you have an outro song? Or just gonna run the intro back?
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I'll figure it out in post.
Yeah. That's it.
And there it is. Oh my God, what was that? Okay. And there it is. The first Whatever.